talking the SMU Mustangs today on Sharpen the Point. 2024, it was an impressive season with 11-3 record in their first year in the ACC, making it all the way to the playoff before kind of laying an egg against Penn State in that cold weather game. Rhett Lashley, he returns for his fourth season with both of his coordinators still intact. Quarterback-wise, heading into last season, the expectation was that with a fully healthy Preston Stone, he would lead the way in their inaugural ACC season. Stone never quite looked like his old self to begin the year, causing Lashley to quickly return to Kevin Jennings. That move ended up being a season-defining decision, as although Jennings got off to a slow start in his own right, he came on strong, and for the last 10 games of the year, there were no questions as to who the guy would be. Even with not being fully unleashed at the start of the year, Jennings still showcased his dual threat capabilities, accounting for over 3,200 yards passing with 23 touchdowns and another 350 yards rushing and 5 more touchdowns. Outside of the Duke win, where he tried his best to lose the game with 3 interceptions, and the playoff game against Penn State, where he did lose the game with another 3 interceptions, he was just sensational for them. He's going to look to build upon the foundation he has now built, and clearly the biggest focus should be on making good decisions in those tough games to limit the turnovers. With Stone now departing for a chance to play elsewhere, they brought in Tyler Van Dyke from Wisconsin as a proven backup. Van Dyke tore his ACL last year and is rehabbing, but the one-time ACC Rookie of the Year showed his best to begin his career, and he's now going to fizzle out in just a small little ember of a flame. Freshman Ty Hawkins, he's going to be one to watch for the long term, as the 4-star dual threat signal caller offers a ton of potential upside, learning from the experience in front of him. Running back-wise, Brashard Smith emerged as a true 3-down workhorse back, as both L.J. Johnson and Jalen Knighton continued their struggles to be on the field for a variety of reasons. Luckily for them, Smith came out of nowhere to be a star in both the run and pass game, never leaving the field. I admittedly was slow to believe that he could keep up the production, and he proved me wrong every step of the way. He counted for nearly 1,700 total yards and 18 touchdowns that are now going to need to be replaced. TJ Harden, he comes over from UCLA. He's going to be tasked with probably that bell cow role as the season moves on. He showed well in the 2023 season when he got a full workload, but had a down year last season as the line could not create space for him to run, relegating him to more of a pass-catching role. Given his size at 6'2", 220, rushing ability that he showed in 2023 with over 800 yards and 8 touchdowns, compared with the pass-catching ability shown a year ago with 40 catches for nearly 400 yards, I'd expect Harden to be in for a big season. The depth behind him is shaky at best, so he should get ample opportunities in a much better situation for a runner. Derek McFall is going to be the main competition for Harden. He received a lot of positive praise in the spring. With Harden arriving later in the offseason, McFall should have more of a presence for at least the early part of the season. Pass catching wise, the offense was one of the more frustrating ones to predict who would play well on any given week for the past 2 years, and they've really spread the work around with no true alpha wide receivers since Rashee Rice. With 4 of last year's top 5 wide receivers now gone, one would expect the targets should condense, but I would expect them to continue spreading it around as the talent is not there for a star to emerge. Jordan Hudson's the top returning option, coming off of a 422-yard, 5-touchdown season. He went missing for much of the year and never surpassed the century mark in any game. Hudson should operate as the top option to start the season, but it's going to be very fluid on a weekly basis. Romello Brinson's going to move up the depth chart and be asked to step into a much larger role as well. And then 2 transfers are going to need to contribute right away. Ymir Knight, he comes from James Madison, and Dylan Goffney from Colorado State. Knight has a realistic shot to lead the room in catches if he can build a rapport with Jennings quickly, as he's a dynamic slot option and return man who has a knack for finding open space in the short area. Goffney is familiar with the offense, having played here previously, so he should acclimate pretty quickly. He's going to provide a valuable combination of size and speed to this room. 2 freshmen, Jalen Cooper and Daylon Singleton, they could push to see playing time right away as 4-star recruits with plenty of upside themselves. The tight end room remains intact with R.J. Maryland and Matthew Hibner both returning. Maryland was lost midway through the season after tearing his ACL, forcing Hibner into a much larger role than they anticipated. Hibner played well, but he's not the specimen that Maryland is. If there's one guy who can be far and away the top target on this team, it is Maryland. He has a tantalizing skill set, and it looked like he may be on his way to a monster year after that 8-catch, 162-yard, 1-touchdown performance in Week 1 against Nevada last season. But he continuously lacked consistency week to week. That can be shown by his 1-catch, 11-yard, and 1-catch, 2-yard performances over the next 2 weeks after that Nevada blow-up game. Along the offensive line, the main concern is moving from the G5 to the P4 is always the talent change along the lines of scrimmage. This unit held up extremely well by bringing in P4 talent to be able to compete. Now they returned 3 of the 5 starters from a year ago with left tackle Savion Byrd, left guard Logan Parr, and right tackle PJ Williams. To replace those 2 open spots, they again dipped into that P4 portal, adding center Joshua Baez from Oklahoma and right guard Addison Nichols from Arkansas. Another transfer, Zion Nelson from Miami, he could be a factor as well. Along the D-line, this defensive front flat out got after the quarterback last year, accounting for 36 of the team's 43 sacks. 26 of those now depart the room, though, and so is a lot of the depth in the middle up front. But they still returned some solid producers and added impact players from the portal. Returning edge rushers Cameron Robertson and Isaiah Smith, they accounted for 8 of the sacks that returned, and they should build upon that production. They're going to be joined in the rotation by 2 young guns in Billy Walton and Ja'Kai Lang. He comes from Missouri. And in the middle, outside of Jonathan Jefferson who returns, there's going to be a heavy reliance on the portal to fill out this rotation. Terry Webb from Texas State is the best of the bunch, and when paired with Jefferson, will form a lane-clogging duo with their size. Jeffrey Imba, he comes from Purdue. Damari Lewis from Purdue as well, and Kavionte Spears from Memphis are going to complete this room. Even with all the losses, there's enough here to get close to maintaining how good it was last season, as the depth is impressive, even if they lack the top end just a little bit. Linebacker-wise, they lose the top 2 linebackers in Kobe Wilson and Ahmad Walker. That's going to hurt, as they were impact players with sideline to sideline, combining for north of 200 tackles while making plays in coverage as well. Alex Kilgore, he's going to return to keep some continuity here, and he's going to be leaned upon to take up that leading role in the room. Zakai Barker, he comes from East Carolina. He's going to slot in next to him as a former all AAC second-team defender last year. And Justin Medlock is going to be the top rotational piece. All 3 provide coverage versatility with downhill physicality, which is what you're looking for in that room. Defensive back-wise, the secondary is largely intact from a year ago with no one of significance gone, while they added plenty of young talent to the room, making it an experienced and deep unit. The safety pairing of Isaiah Inwakobia and Ahmad Moses, they both return off highly productive seasons and should continue to be a force on the back end. They bolstered the depth behind them by adding Robert Rahimi from San Jose State. He's coming off a 5-interception season. He makes a lot of plays on the football. At corner, Deuce Harmon, Jalen Davis Robinson, and William Nettles will all be in the mix. Harmon's the best of the bunch as a guy who is a savvy player capable of playing a really strong press man coverage. He and Davis Robinson are going to provide a veteran presence on the outside, with Nettles providing that youthful upside that you look for. Kyron Chambers, he's going to be their slot and their nickelback. He's going to slide into that role. Looking at the schedule and outlook, Kevin Jennings provides a solid baseline for the offense to flow through. And while there still are no stars to throw the ball to, they are not worse there either. One would expect the run game to decline given how good Brashard Smith was, but a year ago we were in no way projecting him to do what he did. TJ Harden's a better prospect to me overall than Smith was, so I'm going to buy that he can at least get close to the production that Smith had to not see a significant drop-off. The defense is deep across the board and returns some top-end talent. They also did a nice job of adding impact players from the portal to supplement any losses they had, mainly with Webb and Barker. I absolutely love this safety pairing, as they're going to be able to mask any deficiencies in front of them, though. Looking at the schedule, East Texas A&M is an easy win. Baylor is a coin flip. Who knows what Sawyer Robertson is going to be able to do. He was real hot late in the year, putting up some monster numbers, and that run game's pretty solid. At Missouri State, I have to question why the heck SMU is going to Missouri State, but that's an easy win. You just should not be playing on the road there. At TCU, coin flip game as well. Josh Hoover, he can always sling the rock around the yard. That makes things interesting. Syracuse, win. Stanford, win. At Clemson, that's a loss. Clemson is uber talented this year. This is not the year you want to take them on. At Wake Forest, win. Their run game's going to be good, but outside of that, they're going to have no passing presence. Miami, I will lean win. I think Miami's down. I don't trust Carson Beck. At Boston College, win. Louisville, I'm leaning a loss. I think Louisville's going to be in that running with Georgia Tech and Clemson as the top 3 this year. At Cal, they're terrible. Win. Facing Baylor and TCU in that non-con is not easy as they're solid teams. Then you add in, at worst, 2 of the top 3 teams in the ACC on the schedule, and it's a tougher draw than you'd really want to have. Luckily, they do get the 2 worst teams in the conference in Cal and Stanford. 8 wins feels like the floor here with upside for 10 if they can win all the coin flip games. Last year was a magical ride. I just don't expect them back in the ACC title game or the college football playoff just yet.